FM News Talk 97.1. On demand audio.
Talk lines are open now at 314-969-9797 or toll free at 866-455-9797. You're listening to The Dana Show.
You're not going to the basic issue, which is calling your opponent, labeling him Taliban. They kill American forces, they kill gay people, they throw acid on women, they behead people. I mean, it's below the belt. You can't defend it.
Actually, what I'm trying to do is to point out in a vivid way that this is somebody with an 18th century name and a 13th century conception of how women should live in America, and that's what I'm trying to do right now.
But you're also twisting his words. I mean, you've taken a speech that he gave, you edited it incredibly selectively, so it makes it sound like he's saying, women submit to your men, submit to your husbands, when in fact that's not what he was saying in that speech.
I don't agree with that. I think, by the way, they've pulled down the entire tape, so you can no longer look at the entire 20-minute speech that he gave.
Oh, don't you love Alan Grayson? This man never ceases to amaze in the D-Class A way in which he tries to go on and attack different people. That was him, obviously, on AC 360. I was on Anderson Cooper last night, discussing this whole Alan Grayson. I think is one of these guys who wants a talk show. He wants a talk show on either MSNBC or on CNN because no one knew who he was until he started going on television and he started saying these inane things and attacking people in sensational ways. Well, joining me on the phone right now is the man whom Alan Grayson has been attacking in these ads, Daniel Webster. He was elected to the Florida Senate in 1998. He was the majority leader in his final 3 years, and he is Grayson's challenger. Daniel Webster, thanks for joining me. Good afternoon.
Hey, great to talk to you.
So I commend you in having so much grace and class in this whole entire this mud fight with Alan Grayson, because he gets people fired up because he's the man has no class. When you did, and I'm sure you just heard the audio of him being on AC 360 there, he says that you didn't have the entire video up online, and he's still trying to make it as though your remarks when you were quoting the Bible, saying that you can't cherry pick scripture, that was essentially your entire point. He's still trying to spin it as though he didn't take you out of context. What are your thoughts? How do you respond to something like that?
Well, we don't have, let's say, the full 12 minutes. He didn't have the full half second. He split a sentence, so I don't think he's got any room to gripe.
Right.
I'm not ashamed of anything I said on that. And I think he's the one that's ashamed that he got caught.
Right.
And it's really sad. I mean, he definitely has stooped to about as low as you can get.
Now, what has this, it seems to be this race between you and Grayson. It's a different sort of race because he was one of the guys who went super negative very early on. And I don't know if it's just that was his strategy or if he just is very negative to begin with. But how has the campaign been going, and what's the voters' reaction? What are the constituents' reaction to Grayson's behavior in this campaign?
Well, first of all, I think the reason he went negative because he's trying to divert attention away from his own record. If I had his record, I wouldn't be running on it either. So I think that's the problem. So he's running on something else other than his record and trying to divert attention as much as he can away from the fact that we're borrowing $4 billion a day and the economy's in the tank, and our unemployment in Congressional District 8 is 12%. And all of those things are happening. Plus, they don't even vote on the bills. They didn't have a budget. They adjourned and raised taxes on every American. And
right.
The list goes on. So, is that the kind of agenda you want to run on? No, not really.
Exactly.
So you just go on these personal attacks right away, trying to divert away the attention from what you've actually done in Congress.
And how have the constituents reacted? Because I've been reading some of the responses online, and it hasn't been too peachy.
No, I will tell you that going door to door, we have about 700 volunteers. We've gone to 40,000 houses, and the people are just outraged by what's going on. And there's just a lot of support, and people have been happy that I've not got in this tit-for-tat relationship with him, that I've stuck with the issues, and that's what we're talking about. We're just going to keep doing it.
Right.
And the reception has been fantastic. I believe overall in the district, even people that are voting for him believe that he doesn't tell the truth.
Yeah. And it bothers me, too, that, I mean, it's Grayson's side that decided to go ahead, go on a recess, go back to their home districts before they decide the super important issue of whether or not Americans are going to see a massive tax increase because Congress, you want to talk about the party of no, Democrats in Washington, D.C. refuse to take action in extending the Bush tax cuts. This is troubling. And with unemployment now, we have a new Gallup study showing that unemployment is now back up over 10%. Daniel Webster, how is this going to affect Democrats in the midterm? And what would you do to try to fight this?
Well, I believe that they know they're in trouble. They have to. And that's why they've drawn these sort of new lines, firewall lines, and saying, okay, we're going to spend all our money on these, try to hold the majority. I don't think they can do it. I think it's like an avalanche that's getting ready to hit them, and it's just been phenomenal. And for them not to okay, their best shot was to do a continuing resolution. You ever thought of what that means?
Right.
They resolved. Okay, that means you kind of plant your feet down. You say, okay, we are resolving. We are sticking with this, and then continue. So we're going to continue. We're resolving. Matter of fact, we're so convinced that what we're doing is right. We're going to resolve to continue it in the same way we just did it, with no budget, no guidelines, no way to, we're just going to continue the budget just the way it is. We're going to keep borrowing the $4 billion a day and driving the economy down in the ground. And you know what? It's working. The unemployment's going up. I mean, if that's what they think is what's going to help America, they're crazy.
Yeah, and it's so sad. I think I believe it was Barbara Boxer who had said, "Oh, it's a bad decision right before midterm elections to do anything about the Bush tax cuts." Meanwhile, we have the American people going into election. They're not exactly sure what to expect with their pocketbooks, with their small businesses after the first of the year. And you especially understand that because you are yet another. And I love that we have so many people on tickets across the nation this year who are small business owners. You understand this, especially because you, small business owners, like my husband is, you see the impact of policies from Washington, D.C. almost immediately. You see how they affect your small business, yes?
Absolutely. And the thing of it is, we, at our business, I mean, we have a business, we're in a good business. I mean, it's hot in Orlando, and I'm in the air conditioning business, and so it's a good business. But have we added an employee this year? No. Have we expanded our business? No. You know why? Because we don't know what tsunami is coming next from the federal government, and then now they're going to tax us. So why? So what they've done is basically freeze any small businesses that plan to do something between now and the first of the year. They basically said, well, we don't want you to create any more jobs.
Right. It's horrible. It's horrible because that's the engine of the economy. And I feel as though we have people right now in Washington, D.C. who have they've been in these like Tupperware bowl academic institutions, and they've never had to go out and implement this stuff in a real-time environment with real variables like you and other small business owners have, who are now running on these Republican tickets. And by the way, I've spoken to more small business owners who are running as Republicans than I've ever spoken to small business owners running as Democrats. So I think that says something.
It says a lot because Congress is a full-time job. I served in the legislature. That's a part-time job. At least in our state it is. And so you can kind of work it in. To give up their business, to get involved, I mean, it's something, all of us had to think about. And I'm sure they did. I did, to say, okay, do I want to really make this sacrifice? And yet they're willing to do it. They're saying, okay, I'm going to push my business aside. I'm going to go do something about this country and hopefully save it.
Right, absolutely. Daniel Webster for Congress. The website is electwebster.com. I want to commend you again. You've really handled this. You've been the opposite of Alan Grayson, and thanks so